I'm gonna let this populate before I impart some words of wisdom, and we get into these boxing talks. Let this populate. Rob was good. Craig Joyner was good. I didn't hear that the fight got made. What I did hear is that they're close to finalizing it. Believe it or not, that's good news. I've said it many times. I'm not sure if the fight will get made, and I'd like to be wrong about it. But if it can get made and Canelo can fight him and achieve that, then great, because I'd rather see a fight than not see a fight. I just watched the third episode of Fear Street, or the third installment. It was really good. I recommend it to everybody. It's a great trilogy. If you're a big horror movie fan like I am, I think you'll like it. It's fresh, it's new, it's young, it's innovative. It's a better trilogy than the Wilder versus Fury trilogy by far, bar none. It's a great set of movies. Watch it on Netflix. I did want to go live for a reason in particular. While I was watching the movie, I was tagged on Twitter. Apparently, my name was mentioned elsewhere in the cosmos. I tune in and I see that I am a topic of discussion with people who I discuss nothing with on a day-to-day basis. I take this as a sign of my success, that I am spoken of, talked about in the fashion that I am talked about. I affect people's lives. I affect them positively. I affect them negatively. But they talk about me. I don't talk about them. Part 3 was the best in my opinion. Yeah, I really liked it. I liked it. Jose Mountain Dew, AJ Fanboy. Okay. IQ East Coast accents are funny. Can you say why? Hey yo. Brooklyn, stand up. I'm not from Brooklyn. I'm from Harlem, actually. I can't do a Brooklyn accent. I mean, I don't even really. Brooklyn cats in Brooklyn don't sound all that different from cats in Harlem. Not that different. Fury Wilder got lots of drama though. Yeah, but that shit is not like. If he go in there and he beat the shit out of him again, it's gonna be like, dog, you just paid to see the same shit 2 times. I have definitely learned. I appreciate that, Ricardo. Peace, Julius, Femi the King, heavyweight division. They rather pay to see Wilder be quiet at the press conference. They rather that's their idea of boxing. That's on them. More power to them. You know what I mean? Copinger is yeah, I agree with that. He capping for the PBC. But if the Plant fight happens, that's not bad news. That's good news. That means we get the fight. Unfortunately, it might end up on PBC Isolation Island, but, sacrifices. You ever had a cherry lime Ricky? I don't know what that is, man. But what brings us here today is something that crossed my mind as I saw my name mentioned. You can't cheat the work, fellas. I know you're listening, and you can't cheat the work. It's not going to work because you can't cheat the work. Don't mind me speaking in code. You guys won't get it, but they will. Not immediately, though, because they're not as smart as I am. AJ versus Usyk. You know who I got. I watched one Ring IQ video and now I'm unrivaled. It's a drink of soda, apparently from Brooklyn. Nah, I never had that. Ring, I like your last video, but you really think Canelo doesn't do 1 million? It's possible. All right, let's put it this way. Conservatively, I don't. But I don't dismiss the possibility that it can, because it's a Fox pay-per-view. If Fox really pushes it and promotes it, then maybe it can. But these days, I wouldn't be surprised if it does, I don't know, maybe 600-700, because remember, the Cotto pay-per-view, that didn't do 1 million pay-per-view buys. It did just under 1 million at 900,000. Caleb Plant is nowhere near as popular as Miguel Cotto was, and he's nowhere near as popular as Canelo was. So when I look at that and I got to guess, I'm like, well, Canelo is more popular now than he was than he was 2-3 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. He is more popular now than he was. It's 5 years later. So it's possible that he could get it to do 5 or 6, maybe even 7 on his own. But Caleb has no following. He has no following. He has no more real marquee value. He never made it to pay-per-view on his own. He's not now where Triple G was when they was lining him up for Canelo. So when I look at that, I'm like, I don't know if this thing does 1 million pay-per-view buys, especially in this kind of an environment where, people sit there and argue on Twitter all day, but the numbers don't lie. 200,000. For all the people that you bump into on Twitter that want to go up the bat for Gervonta Davis, where are these people when it's time to buy the pay-per-view? Because it only did 200,000. This is a country that has 300 plus million people in it. Less than 500,000 bought his pay-per-view, less than half. What that tells me is that it's either one, he's really not that popular, and two, it's not worth arguing with all them people on Twitter about Gervonta Davis, because in all likelihood, you motherfuckers ain't buying his fights, you stealing them shits. You waiting for motherfuckers like me to buy them shits, and I'm not. Spotlight was good. That Fox up front money must have been something. Well, it's not finalized yet, but we'll see. It's not finalized yet. I saw Kopinger's tweet. I saw Michael Benson's tweet. Michael Benson's tweet corroborated Kopinger's tweet, but there was something in his tweet that wasn't in Kopinger's tweet, that they're still comparing offers from Fox and DAZN. They still have DAZN Matchroom options. Which ones they're going to go with, I don't know. My Capricorn, I was goody. Get eyes tested, bro. All right, you need to get a life, bro. You see how easy it is to get rid of you, Pigeon Pop? Just like that, nobody can see you. And you're gone. And now what are you going to do with the rest of your night? Try to make an alt account to get back on? Don't let the trolls get under your skin, man. You got to treat them how you would in real life. Ignore them. That's why they pull the crap they pull on the internet. Now that her and the tractors will be like, see, Heyman got more bread. Nah. Dog, I don't argue with those guys anymore. For what? At the end of the day, I'm arguing with people that don't. Why would I argue with people that don't buy the pay-per-views they bigging up? If them dudes was really worth arguing with and all that extra shit, the Charlo pay-per-view numbers would have been better. The Davis pay-per-view numbers would have been better. The Spence pay-per-view numbers would have been better. Like, what am I going to argue with these cats for? Pigeon can get up. Yeah, like, I don't even know what the point of that was. Like, I don't know. Like, 1 foot out the door. DAZN is in a hand, is in a damn. Yeah, I mean, that's what I've been saying. You could try your luck on pay-per-view. Maybe you'll do good. Maybe you'll get what you were looking for. Maybe you won't. But it is a gamble. 200,000 pay-per-view buys against Barrios. Well, that's assuming. Well, you running with the 200,000 because Mike Kopinger said that. The number that I heard is actually lower than 200,000 pay-per-view buys, and that's what I believe is the real number. It's not 200,000. And we could keep saying, imagine, imagine, imagine. You imagining fights that ain't gonna happen, bro. Who you imagining? Davis versus Teofimo? Is that about to happen? Davis versus Haney? Is that about to happen? Davis versus Ryan Garcia? Is that about to happen? None of that shit that when we say imagine, none of that shit is gonna happen. So you can't cash an imaginary check, right? So if we gotta imagine what he would do with someone else, that still don't translate into dollars. Nah, not the 90. I mean I could believe 90 if you want me to be honest. I could believe that, but that's not the number I heard. Is there any numbers peak viewership for Charlo versus? Yeah, there's good numbers, and I'll talk about that. I'm not gonna talk about that on its live. I'm gonna talk about that in a video that I upload tomorrow. I'm not gonna talk about that, but those numbers were actually good for Showtime. Those were good numbers, and I told you guys before the fight, it's an undisputed fight. Tune in, give them your viewership so that they put on more fights like that. Now, if it's Davis versus off-brand opponent, don't give them your viewership. Don't entertain them. Don't give them your patronage. But if it's a good fight and it's an undisputed fight, give them your viewership so you send them that message that, yes, this is what people want to see, not that other bullshit from last weekend. Like not your regularly scheduled programming. And just like that, you're out again, Pigeon Plop. I could do this all night. It's going to take you more effort to make alternate accounts just to get in here than it's going to take me to block you. So I got all night. Go ahead, make another one. I'll block that one too. You have no power here. This storyline will be, yeah. But I mean, I wouldn't worry too much about that. I wouldn't worry too much about that. You guys are giving it too much thought that he's going to fight on Fox pay-per-view. How do you see Mean Machine versus Virgil? I see Virgil moving more than usual. I see that as a firefight. It's going to be a really good fight. It's going to be a really good fight. Haters be like that's what I'm saying. 1 foot. Did Castano go up and Charlo go down? I mean, you mean their stock, right? That's what you mean, their stock. Like, did his stock go up? I would say so because most people didn't even know Castano. Most of the people that probably saw that fight, they weren't familiar with that fighter. So they didn't know if he was good or bad. They just thought he was some off-brand champion, and they thought that this was going to be an easy fight. You guys know that follow this channel. I said it's not going to be an easy fight. I said it's going to be a tight fight. It's going to get interesting when Castano closes the distance and they start fighting mid-range to inside. It's going to get very interesting because that range favors Castano. That's his sweet spot. That's where he does his best work. We saw in the fight when he was mid-range to inside, he hurt Charlo. He got a lot of respect from Charlo. PBC can't afford. Yeah, like we'll get into that. We'll get into that. Was Charlo Castano? No, it wasn't a pay-per-view in America, Gary. It was a regular fight. It was a regular cable fight. For those that are not aware, those of you that are elsewhere in the world, that was not a pay-per-view in America. That was not a pay-per-view. Neither one of the Charlo brothers have been back on pay-per-view since the Rosario and Derevyanchenko fight. The Montiel fight was not a pay-per-view for Jermell, and this past weekend's fight was not a pay-per-view for Jermell. We didn't have to pay extra money to see that here. Do you think Canelo will ever fight Charlo or Benavidez? I think there's a possibility he fights Charlo because it's an easy fight. Charlo is a lighter touch. He might look at him as a lighter touch compared to Benavidez, compared to Beterbiev, compared to Bivol. He might look at Jermell as a lighter touch. Like, bro, you couldn't even knock out Juan Montiel. You couldn't knock out Brandon Adams. You couldn't knock out Juan Montiel. You look like doodle against Korobov. Unless you fighting a guy that's coming off a loss and a year layoff, you don't be looking good. Because that's the last time you look good. When you fought a dude that didn't fight in 12 months and he was in a hard fight before that he lost. That's the last time you look good. Your last fight, you fighting an off-brand opponent that Munguia knocked out and you couldn't finish him. How Munguia could finish him but you can't? And you supposed to be this big puncher. Not in this country. I don't know if Fight TV or somebody like that picked it up abroad. I just know that here in America, it wasn't a pay-per-view. It wasn't a pay-per-view here. I'm interested to see numbers. Lack of promoting undisputed fight. Do you think Jermall's best days were at 154? Yeah, I honestly do, because it doesn't seem like his power carried. It doesn't seem like the power that he had at 154, it doesn't look like it followed him up to 160. If you can't, I mean, it's simple. It's not that Brandon Adams is a bad fighter. It's not that. It's just that if you are what they say you are, then these kinds of opponents should not be going a distance with you. If he would have knocked out, Montiel, then we could have caught the Brandon Adams fight an isolated incident. But you have fought two opponents that have not fought at the highest levels of the middleweight division. Brandon Adams was not a top 10 middleweight. Juan Montiel is not a top 10 middleweight. These is the kind of guys that you're supposed to be able to smoke, and you couldn't smoke either of them. I was goody flip. Fuck PBC. I dig it. Crawford too small to compete at 154. I feel so inclined to agree. I was goody Jed. I feel so inclined to agree with that. Sophia was good. Liam was good. Maul was indeed disappointing. I don't see him. Yeah, I don't see it either, Ja. I don't see it. If he was smoking, see, this is the thing. If those were top 10 opponents, if those were champions, then you could say, well, when you get to a certain level, people are harder to knock out because these are elite level opponents. But when you fight in not elite, like Brandon Adams don't got no scalps at 160. Who he beat at 160 that he elite? Who did Montiel beat at 160 that he elite? When you can't smoke the rank 15 guys or the rank 20 guys or the rank 30 guys, when you can't smoke them, you definitely ain't gonna smoke them guys in the top 10. And you've been at middleweight for years now. He ain't just moved up there. He been up there since Highland, since Centennial, since Derevyanchenko and Korobov. He been up there a while. And you not even smoking the top 15 guys, much less the top 10 guys. So if you get somebody like Canelo in front of you, he just gonna play with you. Appreciate that, Truth. A lot of these fellas on the interwebs, Julius, don't know that. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Crawford would get credit at 154 if he gets a win over Castano and a belt. I do agree with that. If he could get a belt off, because think about it. If Jermell Charlo could not get a belt off Brian Castano decisively, how much better would that make Crawford look if he got the job done decisively that Jermell could not? Jermell, who's been at junior middleweight as long as I can remember. You can't even say that about Sergey. He beat K, but other than that, thank you, Rob, Rob put it better than I could. Sergey Derevyanchenko is a good, solid fighter. Make no mistake. But he has no elite level scalps in the middleweight division. He doesn't. Who did he beat? What he did was he gave Danny Jacobs a good fight. He gave Gennady Golovkin a good fight. But who did you beat? Who did you beat that makes you, oh, okay, well, he beat him, and him. Who? Man, it's a whole bunch of wasps that be out there, man. I gotta get like a repellent or something to get rid of them shits. Nah, I actually don't think he's big enough for 154 Gideon. I honestly don't. Arguably Triple G, still think I had it the way that I had it 6 rounds to 6, and the knockdown saved the fight for Triple G. That was how my scorecard looked for that fight. I had it 6 rounds to 6, 6 rounds to Sergey, 6 rounds to Golovkin, and the knockdown, the point from the knockdown, that 10-8 round is what saved the fight for Triple G on my card. If not for that knockdown, I would have had it a draw. Yeah, good point. If you beat him, it does mean you're good, but it doesn't mean you're great. And most people treat that win as if it means that Jermall is great. No, you fought a dude who didn't fight in a year and was rebounding off a hard-ass fight, a physical fight where he got hit a lot and he got dropped and it went 12 rounds. Now, there's no children in here, so you don't need me to tell you that 12 rounds of getting punched by somebody, you might actually be more messed up than if they would have knocked you out in the first round. You might be more messed up because you spent 12 rounds getting hit by a big puncher. You actually got dropped in the fight. After that, you didn't even get a rebound fight. You didn't get a tune-up fight. They put you right back in there with somebody that fake hit hard. What fight does more pay-per-view buys, Canelo versus Plant? Or honestly, I think Pacquiao versus Spence might do more pay-per-view buys, but who knows? Who knows? Pacquiao still has a lot of fans, and Spence got his fake little following that buy his fights too. So when you got two guys that have been on pay-per-view before, that's better than one guy who's been on pay-per-view and another guy that never been on pay-per-view. Caleb Plant never been on pay-per-view. You never even made it that far. So whoever's selling this fight is going to be Canelo because he actually has been on pay-per-view. Premier Boxing Champions, yet every PBC fight. Yeah, that's true too, Dawa Cecil. Sour Diesel. Timmy Nealon was good. Actually, Derevyanchenko. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Jacobs was a tough fight too. And he got dropped in that fight too. How much of a chance do you give Robson, the Olympian? I need to have a look at him. I know he's an Olympian. I know he has a good amateur background, but I haven't seen him in action, to be honest. So I need to get a look at him. I don't see the pigeon if he's in here. To be honest, I don't see him. So if he is in here, Spence has great fans. It's sad Crawford is the uber abuser, and Canelo's bringing them judges, them fresh orange juice, and them PBC dudes have do more pay-per-view buys. They're gonna say that, but everybody's gonna know that Pacquiao's the one selling the fight. I mean, they're gonna say a lot of stupid shit. The time for entertaining them guys is over because they cater to an audience that don't buy shit. You can have a video that does 15,000 views, 50,000 views, 100,000 views. You cater to a demographic that doesn't buy shit. They don't buy shit. Why is it that all the fighters that you like, all their numbers is low? Charlo numbers is low. For the pay-per-view, the pay-per-view numbers was low. Spence numbers was going down. They wasn't going up. They was going down. If this pay-per-view sells more than the last one, you gonna know it's because of Manny, because it ain't because of fucking Spence. Your numbers was going down. It went from 360 with Mikey to a little over 3 with Porter to 200 and something with Danny. Your numbers was going down, bro. They wasn't going up. Now, if you think I'm going to sit here and argue with you that Manny's the real reason that a pay-per-view will sell, if you think I'm going to do that, I'm not. Because I don't need to do that. You're just a fucking idiot. And you can believe whatever not you, you know what I mean? But for somebody that want to argue that, it's pretty obvious that if this pay-per-view sells, it ain't because of Errol. It's because of Manny. So far, Manny, out of all the welterweights that have been on pay-per-view, which is basically just him and Errol, Manny brought in more numbers than Errol. Every single time. We already know that. I feel goofy saying that shit because everybody know that. I think Pac and Spence is going to be a better fight than we think. Well, let's hope so because we're going to have to pay to see it. I'm buying that fight, so I hope it's a good fight. Another random question is that if Kayaguchi beats Soto, I would have to look at his resume and compare it to the guy at the bottom. Right now, the guy at the bottom is Spence. So I would have to look at his resume compared to Spence's. I believe that one did 400,000, Ahmed. Manny been fighting since 79. He definitely bringing them numbers. That's a fair point. I don't think he was dependent on his opponent with Sean Porter. I don't think he was dependent on him, but he was dependent on Mikey. He was. Like, y'all ain't pick him for no reason. We know why y'all picked him. I'm going to post a link to the joint so y'all could come chitty chat. He came out swinging. If Lara beats Warrington again, I definitely want to see him in there with Gary Russell next. Gary won't fight him, bro. Gary didn't want to fight Josh when Josh had a belt. If he ain't even want to fight Josh, that he throw a lot, but he don't really hit that hard, he ain't gonna fight Lara. Lara don't even got a belt. It don't matter if Mikey called him out. He's still a little dude. The fuck, like, is Mikey calling him out gonna make him a bigger dude? No. Gary called Davis out, but Javante ain't fight him. The fuck that mean? Oh, we called him out. Or did he grow 2 inches because he called him out? Did he grow 2-3 inches? When Ugas was calling Errol out, he ain't want to fight him. Everybody conveniently forget that Ugas was calling him out. So if all you got to do to get a Spence fight is call him out, why he ain't fight Ugas when he called him out? Yeah, I heard about that. I'm going to do a video about that, Bruce. I'm going to do a video about that. Then bet on Usyk, man. Don't tell me, tell your bookie. I ain't going to make you no money. Pacquiao is 42, coming off a 2-year layoff and is past. Of course, bro. But they gonna act. If Errol beat him, they gonna act like he was fresh and ready to fly. Like he was a young, like, you know what I mean? Then tell your bookie, YouTuber, like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. Is he trying to get a reaction? Like, okay, you got Usyk winning the fight. Tell your bookie. Make some money. I am. Right now. As I speak. Errol Spence is a disgrace. He was quick to take that fight. Shit, I lost it. Fucking lost it. Let me see. DG. Hey, who is DG? Did I let him in? Let me see. Why isn't it adding him to the stream? Okay, that's DG. There you go. Okay, DG, how you doing? Is he talking? Do y'all hear him? Because I can't hear him if he talking. Nah, I ain't bet on Usyk. I'm telling 100 YouTuber that if he think Usyk is going to win the fight, just tell your bookie, bro. No sense in telling me. You ain't going to make no money telling me. Leo, what's good?
What's up, Julius? How are you doing?
I'm good. DG was good. DG was good, man. All right, well you can.
Well,
I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't know, bro. Like Alejandro was good, man.
hola, Alejandro.
Hola,
Aquí en lo mismo, man.
¿qué lo que?
Lo mismo. They talking about Caleb Plant. It's going to well, a lot of people feel like it's going to go to the PBC because of Mike Kopinger's tweet. The fight is not official yet, so we really don't know. I think it might end up going to the PBC. If it does,
I'm here making some 2D rendering.
I dig it. If it does, it kind of sucks because then I have to pay $80 to see it. But it's Canelo Alvarez, and you got to pay the cost to see the boss. Canelo Alvarez is the boss. He's a pay-per-view attraction. It is what it is.
Bro, I look like a lesbian.
What?
You look like Adelaide Bird.
Bro, that cat's wild, man.
I give Canelo all the rounds.
Alejandro, Tigresa Jimenez.
I don't look like la Tigresa Jimenez. I am la Tigresa Jimenez.
Props to you.
That cat's is wild, man. Oh shit. That cat's is wild, man. But
Bro,
yeah,
I need to use it because the screen tires my eyes. Or the computer screen.
Let me see. Let me see if I could get DG back on here. He's still backstage. DG, you got your mic working? Nah,
I think it's a mute.
I don't know,
It's
man.
mute.
All right, man. I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, man. It might end up on pay-per-view Virtuoso. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, he's the face that runs the place, so he's gonna get the views that he wants. So if it's on pay per view, that's where he's gonna bring his audience to. But it's
Yeah.
only gonna be a 1 fight deal. I don't see
Yeah.
this happening. Like, yeah, because I see him knocking out Plant. Um, and I saw something on Twitter that was like kind of a cruel joke that basically Plant's wife is gonna be looking over like Apollo Creed's wife in Rocky Four. I was like, that could happen, but I'm like, I hope not.
I mean, look.
Virtuoso,
Go ahead, Alejandro.
sorry for interrupting. Escuché que vives en Nueva York.
Sí,
Pues le comentaba a Julius, iba a ir a Nueva York este fin de semana, pero se movió hasta agosto, principios de agosto. Entonces, vi que en los comentarios pusiste que te animabas a venir con Julius y conmigo a comer la hamburguesa.
I'm down.
Okay,
Shit.
okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk some boxing in Brooklyn.
Okay. Well, I'm not from Brooklyn, and I'm not in New York right now. I'm not going to tell y'all where I'm
Nah.
at because I'm live, and it's a lot of crazy ass people that be doing a lot of weird shit. But I'll holler at you behind the scenes. Now, I guess what I have to ask is, and I wanted to ask everybody this. I'm gonna start with Alejandro.
Yeah.
Who got an echo?
Let me see if I can lower my volume.
All right. Alejandro, do you think it's possible for there to be any funny business on the scorecards if it goes to a decision?
Yeah, they will try to make Plan look better than he actually is. So okay, let's see Canelo dominates all the fight, kind of Callum Smith versus Canelo. Believe me, Julius, there's going to be a 116, 112 over there, or maybe a 115, 113 in favor of Canelo, just to make the fight closer than it actually was. So yeah, I think it's going to be some funny cards out there for Plant if Canelo goes to the decision with him.
Virtuoso, do you agree with that contention? Do you think there's a possibility that they might try to play with the scorecards if it goes to a decision?
If the fight's close, they might give a draw, but I still think Canelo got this via the split decision, probably the least.
Leo, same question.
Okay. Let's suppose that PBC wants to do deals with Canelo in the future. A funny scorecard is not the way to do it.
That's why I fucks with Leo, because he got wisdom that I don't have yet. That's a very fair point. If they want to maintain a relationship with Canelo, how the fuck are you gonna do that if you try to fuck him on the scorecards? That's a fair point.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm gonna go back around. I'm gonna go back around, Leo. Does this fight go the distance?
No way.
Nowhere.
No.
Okay. I'm gonna go to Alejandro. Alejandro, does this fight go the distance?
Does this fight go the distance, hamburguesa? Oh, she doesn't speak English. ¿Se va a la distancia la pelea, hamburguesa? She says, hell no.
All
and
right.
I say the same. I think Canelo stops Plan in the 9th or 10th. Or no, Plan se queda en su banquillo. Plan will quit on his stool.
Really?
I think that.
Wow. All right. Virtuoso, same question. Does this fight go the distance?
Wow. You know what? I don't think so either. It's just the inevitable with Canelo. Like once he starts landing on you, it's like he works his way, to a TKO. That's how it is.
Fair enough. So we're all in agreement. I've said it already. I don't think the fight goes the distance. I don't think that Caleb Plant has ever had to deal with the kind of pressure that Canelo Alvarez brings, let alone the counter punching, the quickness, the sharpness. He's pretty much been on easy street since the Usyk fight. Mike Lee, Vincent Fagan Boots, who was the last guy, Caleb Truax. These is not top shelf super middleweights. So I don't even think he's prepared for what Canelo Alvarez is going to bring.
Do you think Usyk was at his prime when he faced Plant?
I think that was the best version of Usyk that he could have faced. And best is relative. Best is relative.
Yeah.
Hey, Andre Diggs got something going on in the background. I'm gonna mute him for a second till he sort it out. But I do think that that was probably the best version of Usyk that he could have faced. And I said this last week. I think I said it to Nestor Gibbs that a lot of the stock that Usyk gained wasn't by actually fighting. It's because he got James DeGale to vacate his belt. He never actually fought him. And the only reason he didn't fight him was because James chose to fight Chris Eubank. So we've been high. Well, not we, but all right, let me lower this real quick. Now, everybody was high on Usyk because they felt that he scared James into vacating. And in some ways, I don't know, maybe he did, because James chose to vacate after the Truax fight, after the Truax rematch. He was supposed to fight Jose after that. But that's still not the same thing as you actually having a fight and showing what you could do. So I don't know that Jose was ever all that to begin with.
Yeah, that is like saying people scared Andrew Warren to retirement.
Exactly.
Irrelevant for measuring the guy real skills.
Exactly. That we unless you have a fight, there's no substitute for the fight. There's no substitute for that. If we want to know where you are and we want to know what you could do, somebody vacating a title really ain't going to tell us. It's going to look a certain way, but it ain't going to really tell us what you could do. Who's the best guy that Jose beat? Somebody tell me.
Porky Medina.
I have no idea.
Porky Medina, el diablo. Bro, no, pero eso no lo dice todo ahí. Porky Medina. And you know who the first guy to beat Porky Medina was? El Zurdo Ramirez.
Yeah.
That's how long he been around, bro. That's why I'm like, look, a lot of people, they thought of Jose Usyk in a certain light because he got James DeGale to vacate, because James chose the money. That's cool. That's cool. But that still don't really tell me what you could do. It don't. That's not the same thing as, okay, you went in there and you fought somebody that was good and we seen what you could do. Now, beat Porky Medina. Now, I'm going to ask Andre Diggs. Andre, first question, do you think it's possible they fuck with the scorecards if the fight goes the distance?
For Caleb Plant, nah. Canelo bring too much money to boxing. And the thing is, like, PBC, they're not like I guess like Fox isn't like a big enough syndicate to like skew the scorecards, if that makes sense. Canelo too big for that, in my opinion. Like, because they're gonna do it like it's a lot of money vested, and even if they did try to do some clandestine backdoor stuff like pay the judges off, you know, Eddie Hearn or Canelo or whoever it is could potentially offer more, because it's not like they're even offering super high guarantees to a lot of their fighters, so they may not even have the money in the budget to like pay those judges off. So now I can't see Canelo getting had on the scorecard. I can't see that.
I guess
I could be wrong.
No, I'm gonna tell you this, Andre. I guess the reason what motivates that question is last weekend's scorecard, to where 170. Like, look, I don't care who somebody thought won the fight, right? But that wasn't no 117-11 fight, 117-111 fight either way, either direction. It wasn't 117-111 for Castaño, but it wasn't 117-111 for Charlo. So when you see a scorecard like that and they put it like what you think, we morons? This judge must think we just a bunch of dumbasses, and they get away with it all the time. It happened in the Rolly Romero fight with Marinez. It happened last weekend in an undisputed title fight. And it keep happening over there. So when I see that, I'm like, yo, How I know they ain't gonna try to do that shit to Canelo?
Yeah, if you see the Jermell Charlo versus Brian Castaño fight, the only way you can get that 117 and 111 scorecard, the only way you can see that if you saw Jermell Charlo connecting every punch he threw. It's the only way.
Real shit. So when and this is the thing, I look across a lot of we all watch a lot of boxing, all of us do. I always see those kinds of scorecards over there. It always happens over there. If I look at the top ranked fights that I've been seeing, I ain't been seeing no funny ass scorecards that look like that, bro. Not like that. Like it might be some shit you don't agree with, but nothing that brazen. I look at Matchroom, yeah, there's some funny looking scorecards. It's gonna happen. It's boxing, but nothing that brazen. 117, 111 in a fight like that, yo, that's fucking brazen. Like, seriously, dog? Did you watch the fight? Like, was you facing the... Go ahead, Drake.
Jermell Charlo. That's Jermell Charlo, though.
Just
like,
one
Jermell
second,
Charlo
is doing some crazy stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Drake. Go ahead, Drake.
Jermell Charlo, that's like a Jermell Charlo card, I guess. But Jermell Charlo and Canelo, in terms of like who brings more money to the sport, we already know who that is. And a lot of times, that's what it boils down to when it comes to like those like shady cards. Like when Oscar was the man, a lot of fights went his way outside of like Shane Mosley. But you look at when he fought like Pernell Whitaker, he was the money man. Pernell Whitaker clearly beat him in my opinion. But Oscar De La Hoya was the money man, so of course they clearly gave it to Oscar De La Hoya. Canelo's still a money dude, so I mean they could, but I wouldn't see how that'd be feasible. But you never know. But I wanted to ask you a quick question because I'm on a roll. I wanted to ask you a real quick question. I seen one of your videos when Crawford had made when he made the statement about that's why Charlo's not on the pound for pound list, and I know you were advocating on Charlo's behalf that he is a top fighter. Now, I do agree that he's a top fighter at like 154, but like, is he a top, in your opinion, is he a top fighter in the rim of like top fighters across boxing? Because the reason why I say so is because the Jermell Charlo I saw Saturday, very good fighter, very like tenacious, but very one-dimensional. Like he just couldn't keep Castaño out. He couldn't like fight in the middle of the ring. He was under a lot of pressure. We seen that he can't handle pressure. So in terms of just being a fighter holistically, as far as skill set, I don't really think he's elite. What say you?
I say that first off, if you've been watching a lot of Brian Castaño and not just Charlo, if you've been watching them both respectively, you see how they affected each other because Charlo actually cut down a substantial amount of Castaño's work rate. He forced Castaño to respect him by taking that half step back, keeping that jab out there. So even though Charlo looks tentative, Castaño looked tentative compared to how he looked with Teixeira. With Teixeira couldn't do nothing to keep him off. Every single round started the same and ended the same. And the way it ended was with Castaño roughing him up, moving him around the ring and roughing him up. With Charlo, it was different. He takes a half step back, he shoots the jab. They might get into an exchange, but people keep glossing over that. Yo, you know Charlo fought him off. I believe that was in either the second or the third round. He fought him off. He got him on the ropes. He pinned him down. He starts throwing combination. Charlo fights him off. I view it as a more even fight than a lot of people. To answer the pound for pound question, however, this is what I'm going to say. And you guys backstage, I'm going to let you on. Just give me a second. Remember where I have him. I don't have him in the top 5 or the top 6 or the top 7. He's in the bottom. He's at number 9. You see what I mean? So
right,
you got a unified champion. That's not easy to do. I think that's what that fight showed. You got a lot of guys that they think unifying is easy, and no, it's not. That's what that fight reminds people of. They're like, yo, everybody talk about Crawford going undisputed like that's some shit that's just gonna happen. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. Usyk, same shit. When he had to fight Maris Breedis, that ain't some shit that you just gonna do. That is just going. No, it ain't. All right, Josh Taylor, same shit. What we saw is that, and I honestly believe this, Jermell is one of the best boxers in the world, but he ain't one of the top 5 boxers in the world. And that's where the context of that question comes from. Should we think of him as Crawford? Should we think of him as Inoue? Should we think of him as Canelo? No. On my list, he's not ranked anywhere near them. He's towards the bottom, not the top. The closer you get to the top.
I could agree with that. I could agree with that. I think he's solid. I just don't really think that he's elite for 154. But just in terms like of just being a multifaceted boxer, like across the spectrum, like a Crawford or like a Nui or a Usyk or like, I don't really want to say Joshua because he's a heavyweight, but like he doesn't really have it. But I wanted to ask you another question real quick. But I do agree that he is a good fighter. Though. I'll give him that. I wanted to ask you a question real quick. I think, and this question goes to you if they want to chime in, but I think Crawford is the best finisher in boxing. What do you think?
I see. This is the thing. I'm a fan of Crawford, so if I'm gonna be objective, if I'm gonna be objective, I agree that he's a very strong finisher. I agree because I've seen him in championship level fights. He finished Kavaliauskas the same way he finished in Ndongo. He finished him the same way. All right, somebody got an echo.
It's not me.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna come right back, and somebody keep calling my phone. I'll be right back. I'm gonna come out for a second.
All right, let me go to Richard Lucero. All right, first question to Richard Lucero. Richard, if the Caleb Plant versus Canelo Alvarez fight goes the distance, do you think there might be funny business on the scorecards?
I don't think so, bro. La mera verdad, porque el Canelo todavía tiene mucha vida en el deporte. He's 31 years old. There's still a lot of money to be made there. Si se la dan al Caleb Plant, I mean, Benavidez might fuck around and fucking beat his ass, even though they could darle la oportunidad a Benavidez, but Benavidez, la mera verdad, con sus pendejadas que hace, not making weight and losing his belt a couple of times, you never know what you might get from that fool. So I don't think that they're gonna do that shit to Canelo.
Okay, second question. Does the fight go the distance?
I don't think so. Caleb Plant might have his moments, but I don't think he has the power to actually bother Canelo. So as the fight goes on, I think he's just gonna adjust, and he's gonna be breaking down that body. So I got it pretty much like as a late stoppage.
Okay, now I'm gonna go to my man Alexis. Alexis, you know this is an opportunity for the PBC to fuck somebody over that's very popular. You know that clout chasers' minds is not about winning; it's about making other people lose. And a lot of people not going to understand that. But Alexis is a very deep motherfucker. Y'all don't know Alexis. See, I've been talking to this cat for years. He's a smart motherfucker. Clout chasing motherfuckers, they don't want to win. A clout chasing motherfucker don't want to win. What a clout chaser wants is for you to lose. So si Alejandro es una persona que tiene mucho respeto, el respeto de la gente, un campeón, everybody loves him. A clout chasing motherfucker don't want to be like Alejandro because he knows he can't be like Alejandro. What he wants to do is destroy Alejandro. You see what I mean? Con esa cosa in mind, Alexis, is it possible that they might try to fuck Canelo on the cards?
First of all, I would say that a clout chaser doesn't even want to destroy you. Clout chaser really just wants to be associated with you. Whenever you come up, they want to be mentioned along with you. You know what I'm saying? So they have no intentions of ever getting in the ring with you. They have no intentions of proving you that you are not worthy or that they can beat you. They just want to be mentioned with you. The other thing is that as far as PBC fucking up, this is how I see it, right? So the Canelo Alvarez is Canelo Alvarez wherever he goes. So not only is it about the promoters, but it's also about the venue. So if he's in Texas, Texas wants to be associated with Canelo Alvarez. If he's in Las Vegas, Las Vegas wants to be associated with Canelo Alvarez. You see what I'm saying? The Nevada state box, just like they used to do with Floyd and all that shit. I mean, he's much big. He's much too big. The other thing is that there is no, and then conversely, there's no money in Plant.
Thank you.
Whether even if Plant beats Canelo, there still wouldn't be any money in Plant. You understand? He could have the ring bell, all those bells, have the ring bell, and throw the Ali trophy on top. Ain't no money in Caleb Plant. You understand? He has not created any kind of a buzz. They tried to get him an image to fulfill with the story of his, and God bless his dead, and then the story of his daughter, his wife, all this drama behind him. Nobody, that shit hasn't resonated. You know why? Because in the ring, he doesn't resonate. He doesn't inspire anyone. His heart, he doesn't fight with enough heart, with enough fire, with enough tenacity, with enough technical skill or athleticism to make anybody say, "Wow, I want to see that guy again." You understand? And so that's Caleb Plant. So if he were to somehow rob Canelo, what's he gonna do with that? They're actually gonna lose money with that.
Yeah.
So the other question is, what was the other question?
Do you see the fight going a distance?
No, I don't see the fight going the distance, and because again, Caleb Plant, Usyk almost stopped him. You know, I saw the fight towards the end. Caleb Plant was gassed a little bit. Usyk doesn't have the skill to implement the firepower to get that Caleb Plant. But Canelo does. He's gonna cut him off, be in his face all the time. Even if Plant hits Canelo's not gonna feel them shits. You know, he's gonna make him die and boom, hit him with the freaking rib every single time. And once Plant starts getting hit to the rib, he's gonna start running. And he's gonna get. I see it. He might do a little better than what's his name?
Billy Joe Saunders. You know what the funny shit is? I don't think he's gonna do better than Billy Joe because I don't think he's better than Billy Joe. I don't.
Me neither, because Billy Joe fought people. Billy Joe fought people, no matter how many.
Billy Joe Saunders has a better chin.
That's it. Billy has a better chin.
Yeah, and Billy Joe's fought people. Billy Joe's been with some really good freaking people. Andy Lee, knockout artist, Lemieux,
Chris Eubank.
He's been in with some people. This guy Plant has been in with absolutely nobody. That's like asking a third grader to take what's the test for college?
The SAT.
That's like asking a third grader to take the SAT. Are you gonna do that?
Oh shit!
There's been no building to Plant, and that's what's the matter with the whole PBC. They don't build fucking thing. They don't build anything. They build nothing. They don't believe in putting you in tougher and incrementally tougher fights to then prove to what you want, then make you a star and all that. No, they just want to keep you in some level, fight you nobody, and try to make you, and then associate you with somebody who is actually do something. And then try to make the fight.
I agree.
It's the craziest shit. But anyway, I'm talking too much.
No. I mean, I agree because I did a video yesterday where I talked about that. They're like, yo, everybody, it's a gimmick that Leonard Ellaby got. I'm going to mute your mic because it sounded real crunchy for a second, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, now, they got like a gimmick going on. Don't you notice that whenever somebody popping, all of a sudden Gervonta name mysteriously get attached to him? When Oscar Valdez knocked out Bachelt, who was on Twitter talking about Gervonta and Oscar and all this bullshit? Leonard Ellaby. Lopez beat Lomachenko, same shit. Whenever Ryan Garcia eat a sandwich, same shit. Motherfucking Josh Taylor He go in there, he become undisputed. Oh, now it's about like, come on, be like you can see the gimmick, you can see the game they running. Whenever somebody do something, oh, all of a sudden let's tack him on to Gervonta Davis so that when he do fight, it's against some off-brand motherfucker. It's been going on for 4 years. I'm hip. It's been going on for 4 years. That's why I'm like, if anything, the Josh Taylors of the world need to stop addressing this dude because he ain't gonna fight none of y'all. No matter what they saying online, he not gonna fight none of y'all. The only one I think he probably will fight is Ryan because he more beatable. Other than that, he ain't gonna fight Teofimo. Come on, why we even talking about that? He ain't gonna fight Josh Taylor. Why we even talking about that? It's the same shit with Thurman. Last year, everybody got hyped just because Thurman was doing interviews talking about Crawford. And I'm looking at these shits. I'm like, yo, y'all really think he gonna fight Crawford or for your inactivity and an L with no tune-up fight? Well, then y'all just some gullible ass motherfuckers then. All he do is interviews. He ain't fighting nobody. He ain't fought in 2 years. It's another 2 years down the drain. He ain't fought nobody. But I'm supposed to believe he was gonna fight Crawford. My ass. They don't build nothing over there, man.
Now,
Yeah, it's like it's all about the cloud chase. I'm sorry to interrupt, but like, yeah, you attach your name to a star, right? But you don't know how to build momentum to your fighter. That just screams desperation, and it's like you're not showing any confidence to your fighter. It's like what you said. It's like the reason why they don't let they don't let their fighters test the market because they're not very confident in them winning, or bringing back the belts.
I agree.
So of course you're gonna say, well, this guy, doesn't really does as much, as Gervonta Davis does for the culture, this, that, and the third, all this ancillary stuff that doesn't really matter.
That being said, I saw, I think it was a fight hype post earlier today. It was Ronnie Shields, and he was talking about David Benavidez, and he said that, oh, David is a nobody. He don't bring nothing to the table, right? This is in reference to a Jermall Charlo fight. And I'm thinking, well, what did Juan Montiel bring to the table? What did
nothing.
Brandon Adams bring to the table?
Dennis
Nothing.
Hogan.
That's a word, right? Like what they brought to the table. Shit, Dennis Hogan was coming off of L at 154. What he brought to the table?
What did Highland bring? One leg.
No. See, with Highland, you know why I gave him a pass with Highland? Because he was the mandatory challenger for the WBC title. That's the
Hmm.
only reason I gave him that. I gave him a pass on that because I'm like, all right, I see what you're doing. You moving up. You want to get in position for a fight. I know that this dude is a one-legged dude and he shouldn't even have this position, but that's really the WBC's fault because most people didn't know that Highland was the mandatory already for a year. They just didn't order the fight. But I'm like, that's not Jermall's fault, so I'm gonna give him a pass on that. And then I see how they moving him to where I'm like, yo, you really not fighting shit though. I gave you a pass for Highland. I gave you a pass for Centennial. You don't want to fight Andre. You rather fight Brandon Adams. You rather fight Dennis Hogan. You rather fight Juan Mont. You rather fight anybody than Andre. And that's when I'm like, you know what? You just you pulling game. You these is games, B. You playing games.
They just want to paint this picture to where constantly keep saying that this fighter's avoiding Charlo or Jeep Davis, but at the end of the day, when it comes to negotiations, they start with that bullshit talking about, well, this guy doesn't sell, and just like you said earlier, all these other fighters don't fucking sell either. So it's kind of like they run around in circles, and I mean, to the true boxing fans, we see that shit.
Yep. And that's why
So
that's why the numbers don't change. You know what I mean? Like I'll say Jermell, and I hope that Stefan Espinoza paid attention to those metrics that when you put on an undisputed fight, it did way better numbers than when you put on that Juan Montiel fight. Those is twin brothers. You know what I mean? They twin brothers. They had a fight in close proximity to each other. The undisputed fight brought you almost 2 times, I think. Oh, I got to look at him again, but it brought you almost 2 times as many viewers as the other fight. So what you need to do is make more fights like that and stop breastfeeding these motherfuckers because that's what you're doing. You breastfeeding them. They ain't babies. Let them go earn that $1 million you be giving them out the Showtime boxing budget. Make them motherfuckers fight because nobody want to see no more Montiels, man.
Yep. It's like they're trying. every time I see things like that, it reminds me the UFC. Every time that you ask a guy that follows MMA, they talk about UFC, and they say no, UFC fighters don't compare with also other promotional companies. They don't even mention a fight with a UFC champion and a Bellator champion. They don't even
Mhm.
mention. It's not even a discussion because supposing the UFC fighters are way better than other promotional companies. You can't do that in boxing. You
Yep.
can't.
Yep.
You can't.
That's true.
The only reason that they do that is because they want to protect that little bit of cash they earn in those fights, and they don't want to lose anything.
Agreed. I mean, look at what happened. Look, Vosdick got in there with Adonis Stevenson. Adonis Stevenson is mowing through what they have on PBC Island. He okay. You put him in there with a top ranked fighter for a couple of rounds, and not to be cruel, but you see what happened. You see
Yeah.
what happened. All right, Wilder and Fury. Fury hadn't fought an elite level opponent in years. He fought Cephas Fury, Francesco Pianetta. He goes in there with your king, your knockout artist, your most dangerous man, and he gets up. He gets up. Now, I don't know if it's scripted, but if it ain't scripted, that's still not a good look because this is supposed to be your killer, ain't it? Your bazooka. Pew!
And the
He
fucked
got
up
up.
thing, the fucked up thing about the Bosick fight with versus Adonis Stevenson is if you saw the fight, Stevenson hurt Bosick really
Mhm,
bad. So
mhm.
I wonder if that fight happens 1 year, 2 years before, maybe Adonis Stevenson wins. Maybe he's more competitive. Maybe they don't put that guy in a bed for like 1 year trying to recuperate.
The
All
thing
all that
is,
all that
uh,
because you didn't want to test him later.
look, the thing about Adonis is he actually used to fight people, but when Ivan Michel, who was Adonis's, he was really his promoter in Canada because Adonis is based in Canada. As soon as he climbed into bed with the PBC, because they wasn't always with them, but as soon as he did, you saw the difference in the matchmaking. You saw the difference, and he climbed into bed with the PBC at a time when the talk was for him to fight Sergey Kovalev. Now we know the fight never happened, and we see Shawnee Monaghan, Andrzej Fonfara 2 times. Like, bro, why you fighting him again? That don't even make why would you fight him again? You got a mandatory. Now think about this in-house bullshit that we always hear, right? Elena Alvarez is co-promoted by the same people as Adonis Stevenson. For all those years, he was an Ivan Michel fighter and he was a PBC fighter. He was both of those things. But on PBC Isolation Island, he never got to fight, even though he was on the same side of the street as Adonis. And that's why I've been saying for the last 4 years, that sides of the street shit is bullshit. You could be on the same side of the street as somebody and they still won't fight you because ultimately you got to want to fight. So if you ever hear somebody saying, oh, side of the street, nah, ain't no side of the street. You just don't want to fight.
I have a question that is bugging me about Anthony Joshua.
Okay.
Who do you think is the best technical, the most skilled fighter he has fight on his career? Because he's going to face Usyk. Usyk is like super technical, but who do you think is the most technical fighter Joshua has faced?
Two names come to mind almost immediately. Vladimir Klitschko, 1, and
Mhm.
Alexander Povetkin, 2. Alexander is an ambush fighter. He's a pressure fighter, yes, but it's educated pressure. It's not just him coming forward, leading with his face, going hell for leather. The kind of pressure he applies has to do with where he is relative to you, where his feet are versus where your feet are. And the little movements, the little gestures, the different ways he disguises the left hook, the different ways he sets up the uppercut. That is a highly skilled ambush fighter. Remember, he was getting his fucking ass beat by Dillian White in the first fight. He got dropped like 2-3 times, looked like he about to lose. And out of the clear blue sky, he pulls out a short uppercut from hell, finishes the fight. That is a skilled fighter. So I would say the most skilled from where I'm sitting was Vladimir and Alexander.
Yeah, agree.
Now with Usyk, and I don't want to give a prediction just yet, but I do want to have that conversation. See, the thing with Usyk is the smart thing to do would be don't burn through your energy reserves the first 4 or 5 rounds, because you know that Anthony Joshua will get tired before you do. So you have to try to find a way to outlast him. I honestly think that Usyk ain't looking for a points win. He's looking for a knockout, because you're not going to win on point. There's a lot of things that could go wrong with you trying to win on points. If you sacrifice too many of the early rounds, laying off so that he'll get tired, you might give up too many rounds and lose on the cards. Also, it's Anthony Joshua, and this is a matchroom show. They're more invested in him than they are in you, so let's not be gullible and naive. If they gotta take a round from you to give it to him, they will, because he make money and you don't. That's reality, bro. That's boxing in a nutshell. So I think he's going in there looking for the knockout. I'm gonna go to Richard Lucero. What do you think about that?
I completely agree, bro. The only problem is que does he have enough power to actually hurt Anthony Joshua? If not, he's gonna have to frustrate him and get him tired, and maybe like that, a lo mejor sí lo puede tumbar due to frustration. So va a tener que tener la stamina to just go all out. And like you said, you can't go and wait a couple of rounds porque no se la van a dar. Similar to the last weekend fight, a lot of people, they might go back and forth when it comes to, with Charlo and Castaño, but he's gonna have to put on that pressure, pero también con cuidado, porque pues ya sabemos que Anthony Joshua, pues he can crack. So yo pienso que if he puts on that pressure, a lo mejor sí lo puede cansar, porque we have seen Anthony Joshua que he eventually does takes rounds off because he gets tired.
That's true. Mid rounds, that's true.
So that's the only way I could see him maybe, pulling some shit out, maybe like catching him off balance, que lo tumba. Pero ya de ahí que lo lastime así, who knows?
Julius, do you think Usyk has enough power to hurt Joshua?
Well, this is the thing. I don't think he has enough power to hurt Anthony Joshua, but if he can tire him, then he can take him out. He'll be more susceptible to getting hit, and even if you can't knock him down, you can force a stoppage off of clean punches. You can do that. So the thing about that is, before we even get to that scenario, you have to last. You have to make it long enough that you can do that. And that's the problem. I don't think Anthony Joshua is going in there looking for a points decision win. I think he's going to try to blitz him.
Yeah, I think the blueprint for beating Usyk, I think Tony Bellew give us that print.
Yep.
Because Tony Bellew was doing really, really good against Usyk before getting stopped. And he got stopped because he could last doing what he was doing.
I agree with that.
He was landing very hard shots on Usyk. Straight punches against Usyk. Usyk wasn't faced, but it's because Tony Bellew is not necessarily a great puncher.
That's true.
Anthony Joshua is another story.
That's true. So you think that straight punches and movement are the ticket?
Yeah.
I agree. Because what? See, this is the thing. Joshua can deal with Usyk on the inside, even though the inside favors the smaller man usually. Mid-range to inside does usually favor the smaller man with the shorter arms. Joshua has shown that he can fight there. Usyk don't crack like Andy Ruiz to where if you get off a counter shot, he just going to be so frazzled. That's Andy Ruiz's bread and butter. Usyk's bread and butter has been volume and angles. If you
But
look at
the thing, sorry for interrupt you, but the thing with Usyk, Julius, is that he's very precise, unlike Ruiz.
And Ruiz.
that's a fair
No,
point.
I, just to counter that, I don't feel like Usyk has been very accurate in this division. Like you took a look at the Chas Witherspoon's fight and the Show's fight. I mean, yeah, he's got some mustard on the shots, but it's not really hurting him. So Joshua's going to be coming forward if he's going to eat those shots. You know, if they're going to eat those shots, you know, Joshua's gonna have his way. You know, now is he going to pick his shots? Is the question. You know, is he going to be more of a smarter fighter than he was fighting against a smaller guy? You know what he did with Ruiz.
Yeah,
One of the aspects that intrigues me about this fight is how like what the condition is going to be of Usyk, facing an Anthony Joshua versus how effective the activity is going to be for either fighter.
That's a fair point. I see, you know what I think? In the first round, I think they're going to be very tentative, the both of them. They're going to give each other a lot of respect in that first round. But the straight shots are the way to go for Anthony Joshua because remember, as long as he's on the outside and you can keep him there with feints that if he tries to take a step forward and you feint like you're going to throw, then he takes a half step back. You keep him out there, you can line him up for a straight right hand. And as long as you keep him out there because he's the smaller man, he can't do nothing. The difference between them is Usyk has to step into the kill box to land anything. He has to. Joshua don't. He can keep you out there long range. Jab, jab, feint, move, jab, jab. Switch it up 3 jabs, then feint, then 1 jab, then feint. And you'll make him scared to throw and scared to come in. Before you know it, the round is over and you just lost that fucking round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna have to like diversify his movements, generate angles, getting inside and getting in and out of range, because he does have the foot speed to do that. But all I'm thinking about is the effectiveness of the shots. How does John is gonna react to it versus how Usyk is gonna react to his shots. If he gets hit.
I mean, a punch you don't see is a punch you don't see, right? And I think Usyk can hit Joshua with a punch he doesn't see faster than Joshua can do that. He can hit him with a counter shot, and the counter shot, it don't have to be hard, but it puts you in a different place. Like, I didn't see that shit. And now you get scared to throw when you get hit with the counter shot. That's the danger for Joshua. The shit is, how are you going to counter him? You have to be – Usyk arms is not long, B. Like, he would have to be real close to this guy to land like a good counter shot. And if you that close to him, you that much closer to that uppercut, right? If he land that, can you take it? I think he could take what you got, but I don't know if you could take what he got.
Yeah, as a cruiserweight, his reach is remarkable. But as a heavyweight, that's where I have my doubts. Like if Usyk shows him like the high guard, right? Do you think Joshua should utilize more of his body work, like more like open up the shots downstairs?
Yeah, and he did that with Povetkin. Go back and watch the Povetkin fight. He was throwing a straight jab to the body, just touch him there to keep him out. Just like you're not just going to come in here. He'll jab to the body, and it's not like he's trying to hurt him to the body, but he'll jab him to the body just to like, yo, don't step forward. Now is not the time to do that. I think he could do that with Usyk, and he could do it safely because Usyk arms is not long. They not long at all. You can't, even if you get full extension, you might not touch this guy. And while your arm is out there, he could bring over some shit that'll drop you. It's not that I'm saying Usyk doesn't have a chance. I'm not saying that, but it's fucking difficult. It is difficult because he could get hit with one big fucking right hand. Hey, it might be over, man. Usyk, like the biggest puncher you fought was Gassiev, right? But with Gassiev, it's not like y'all went hell for leather the way you did with Breedis. With Gassiev, you kept him in that high guard, and he didn't want to throw because every time he went to throw something, you popped him. If he would have connected on you the way he connected on Dorticos, that'd have been a different. Then we would know, okay, this fucking guy can take a punch. That didn't happen. because you just kept jabbing and moving so that he don't even throw. This is a different fight. You can't do that to this guy.
I can see.
Yeah, he's gonna have to get closer.
And I don't think Usyk has the. Well, he has a good chin, but I think his chin has been tested at heavyweight by Chisora, so I think he has a good chin too at heavyweight.
On the fly.
Exactly. While he was
Us-
moving.
Usyk has been really careful on not engaging and that often since he moved to the heavyweight division.
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
When's the
That's
last time we saw him really tee off on somebody? Been years, bro. Go ahead, Richard.
I could see Anthony Joshua using that strategy, going to the body, maybe to eliminate that movement a little bit more. But we got to take in consideration that Anthony Joshua could fight in the outside as well because he has a long reach. So Usyk has to at least get to mid range, but that's what could cause some problems.
And that's the dilemma, that even if Usyk to do anything at all, you got to step into the kill box. You step into the kill box, he could forget about the straight right hand. He could bring over the uppercut. For years, that was his money punch. So even if you get past the straight shots, that still don't mean you real safe.
Yeah.
That's very true. It's gonna be interesting. I mean, it's gonna be a fight. Whoever could, I guess, go with their game plan better. But I actually think since Joshua is the longer fighter and he's able to fight in the inside as well, he's able to use the outside. I give him the advantage. But hey, man, this boxing, you never know.
You never really, you don't. And I also this question from Simple Boy. People, Usyk has had more time now at heavyweight, so will that help him? This is the thing. From where I'm sitting, the things that make Usyk such a great fighter at cruiserweight was his athleticism. But if he's packing on more weight, all that does is slow him down. So
Yeah.
as funny as it might sound, I'm thinking, yo, you know what? You need to walk in there 225, maybe 220, maybe 210. Because your shit is movement. That's your bread and butter. Moving around. It ain't because you hit that hard. You never been that hard a hitter.
It's like something I remember. I'm going to say it in Spanish because I don't find the words. Pero una vez en ESPN, cuando Chocolatito González derrotó a Carlos Cuadras, dijeron, imagínense si Chocolatito fuera un welter. Y alguien respondió, si Chocolatito fuera un welter, no sería Chocolatito González. Entonces, Usyk is not a cruiserweight anymore. He's at heavyweight when he's, like you said, Julius, he's heavier and he's slower. And he's carrying a lot of more weight. So, yeah, I think no había pensado eso antes, but that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, that's one thing that I'm thinking about. What is Usyk gonna weigh for the fight? Si tú le ves el frame de Usyk, he doesn't have a heavyweight frame, bro. Not for today's heavyweights. He really don't have it. Like, si tú mira Chisora, él tiene la cabeza grande. He got a big fucking skull, bro, because he's a heavyweight. And that's how you could tell the head, the shoulders. I look at Usyk, his shoulders look little next to a lot of guys. Like, yeah, he's 6'3". There's a picture of him and Vladimir that they were sparring. And if you look at the picture, yo, Vladimir make him look like a light heavyweight.
Yeah, like the it's like the same with well, Pacquiao has a small frame, but he's been in welterweight for ages, bro.
Yeah.
Usyk is what, his third fight at heavyweight?
Basically, this is his third fight. I mean, si él gana, good for him. But think about that ahead of the fight. This is his third fight in this division.
Yeah, his third fight against maybe the best name at heavyweight. So it's going to be interesting. I don't think it's going to be a beat down till round, maybe the late rounds.
I'm gonna go to Leo. Leo, do you think Usyk is ready for this fight? What does your gut tell you?
Leo is sleeping.
Leo is asleep. Virtuoso. Virtuoso.
Yeah, I was gonna answer that for you.
Is he ready for this? Do you think he's ready for this?
I mean, look, he has the talent. He has the hardware to prove that he can fight at world level. You know, and people want to see this. So yeah, he is ready. Now, do I think he's gonna win? No. I think it's Joshua. I got Joshua on the scorecards. I don't see either of them knocking each other out.
Richard, is Usyk ready for this?
La mera verdad, yo pienso que no. I don't think he's ready. Just because of the opposition that he has faced at heavyweight. O sea, I mean, he had como three fights at heavyweight, right?
And he's only had 2, bro. Chaz Witherspoon, 2. That's it. Chaz Witherspoon, who's a journey, like nothing against journeyman, you know, but he fought 2 journeymen. That's it. That's all he did. So it really is a question of, is he actually ready for this?
Yo pienso que no. I don't think he's ready. Y luego, pues, ya que va a llevar como 1 year sin pelear, ¿verdad?
Sí, casi.
Yeah.
So that could also take an effect porque, I mean, usually I would have had a different opinion if he would have fought someone like kind of similar to Anthony Joshua and recently. But his last fight was Chisora, right? Which is nothing compared to Anthony Joshua. So in my opinion, I don't think he's ready.
Alejandro, is he ready for this fight?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say yes, he's ready. Let's go, Usyk. Usyk. But as myself as the biggest Efe Ajagba fanboy, I think Efe Ajagba beats Usyk and Joshua.
Okay.
I know it's not true. But
Hamburguesa, is Usyk ready for this fight?
let me ask her personally. Hamburguesa is not here. What is Angelo?
Is he ready for this fight?
Digo que no.
That's a no.
Ok, se despertó el Leo. Leo, la pregunta ahora is Usyk ready for this fight?
Yes, as ready as he can be.
That's a good answer.
Because maybe people are trying to dispatch him like he was a nobody. Usyk is a pound-for-pound fighter who used to be in your say, and he has a really good set of skills. He has experience, and maybe he can make a really good competitive fight. And now, I think he's gonna win. No, I don't think he's gonna win. But I think it's gonna be more difficult for Joshua than people think so.
All right, now I want to go around the board. More or less difficult than Pulev? Let's start with Leo.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because Usyk, as you said, Usyk is more athletic. I think Joshua is not. His professional career hasn't really shown. No, he hasn't really fought a guy with that level of athleticism. That kind of guy, he can, if he has to, he's gonna launch himself over into fetal position to avoid a punch.
Okay.
And he can do that for 12 rounds. Usyk don't give a shit if he can do that. And the other heavyweights, they can do that. They think Usyk can do.
Okay.
So it's gonna be, for me, when Joshua fights Usyk, it's gonna be surprise. It's gonna have to think, and it's gonna win, but it's gonna be really difficult.
Okay, I'm gonna change the question for Alejandro because I don't even think Pulev wasn't difficult at all. No one expected him to be. Let's change it up a little bit for Alejandro. Will Usyk put up a better fight than Povetkin did?
La verdad es que ya al Alejandro no lo conozco, con todo respeto, pero ya llegué yo, el gran campeón mexicano, la verdad. Mira, pues yo veo que el Usyk, pues es como muy bueno, ¿verdad? Como Lomachenko grandote, pero pues no, pues es mejor el Pulev, ¿verdad? Porque ese ya lleva un rato peleando. Bueno, ahora sí los dejo con el Alejandro. Espérenme. Ya, mijo,
Alejandro,
ya se va a portar bien, mijo, ya ahora sí.
Alejandro, more or less difficult than Povetkin?
I think Povetkin or Pulev.
I started with Pulev, but then I thought about it, and it's like, well, Pulev wasn't difficult at all, and I honestly do believe that this will be more difficult than Pulev, but I don't know if he poses the same threat that Povetkin posed. I don't know that.
Two things with Povetkin. One, he was way older than Usyk.
That's true.
And two, Povetkin doesn't have like he doesn't have like the best chin at heavyweight. What he has been always at heavyweight, but he doesn't have like the best chin. I think Usyk is going to be more difficult for Joshua because first one he's at his prime and Povetkin was not at his prime when he fought Joshua. And second, I think it's a little bit more technical. But the issue with Usyk, and we've been talking about that all in the show, is that I don't know if Usyk is it will take Joshua's power in the late round when he's already tired of running around and you know. So I think Usyk is going to be a little bit more difficult, but not so much.
Ahmed, will Usyk be more or less difficult than Povetkin? Bear in mind, Usyk wasn't a big puncher at cruiserweight. Povetkin, if he didn't have nothing else, he had power. He could knock you out. Is this going to be more difficult than that fight was?
Well, Povetkin and Joshua, you're comparing it to Usyk, innit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was at Povetkin Price. Initially, when he knocked Price out, I thought he might be able to knock Joshua out. But when I rewatched that fight, I just think Povetkin, he wasn't big enough. Now, obviously, that contradicts the Usyk fight. But I thought he was a bit old as well. But it's still a great victory for Joshua because Povetkin is dangerous. But I'm not sure if that was a younger Povetkin, he probably would have had more in the tank. But I like the way Joshua boxed that fight. But I think this fight is more probably dangerous. We can't base it on resume because if it's on resume, then Joshua walks this. But
no, it's not even resume. It's fight.
Yeah,
because this is the thing. Yeah. This is the thing. Povetkin had good feet. He actually had good feet. He could close the gap on you. He was fast enough that he could get close to you. He's an ambush fighter. That's kind of, not really, but sort of what Usyk's got working for him is his feet. He's got athleticism. He can move. Do you think this?
Right. I think Usyk is in his prime. He's younger, and I think he's fast on his feet. Do I think Povetkin is harder? Yeah, definitely. Obviously, but you could negate power and you could work around it. Usyk's a southpaw, so I don't know. If Povetkin's not a southpaw, so I think this could be a more dangerous fight because I was at the Parker fight, and I think if Usyk early on uses his feet and his legs and, doesn't get caught by something big and takes it late or mid to late rounds, I could see Usyk winning this fight. But I'd say based on style, I was at Joshua Takam and Joshua and Parker. I'd say it's a 50-50 fight. I'm not sure if Usyk could knock him out, but at the same time, I'm not sure if it ends in a stoppage for either guy. If it just comes down to power, obviously, you don't want to get into a shootout with Joshua. He's the bigger puncher. He's the bigger guy. But I don't know. It could be a controversial or contentious fight, which either guy thinks they win. But I wouldn't rule out the draw. But I think this may be one of Joshua's biggest challenges because the guy's in his prime and style-wise, he's a very awkward fighter. But if we base it on resume, then I can understand why a lot of people are picking Joshua. But I don't know how some people are saying it's going to be a blowout for either guy because I just don't see that. I think it's a very competitive fight. I would actually go as far as saying this could be a more trickier fight than the Fury fight. Now, I'm not saying, obviously, Fury against Joshua would probably be closer in odds, but that would come down to how Fury approaches the fight. If Fury tries doing what he did to Wilder to Joshua,
He gets knocked out.
He gets knocked out. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Usyk is a completely different fighter. So I'm very intrigued by this fight. I think it's one of the best fights or whatever coming up in the calendar here.
Okay, Richard, is this a more or less dangerous fight than the Povetkin fight was?
I think it's a more dangerous fight, simply because Povetkin and Pulev, even though they do have some sort of good footwork, but I think the main thing when it comes to that is they're not able to keep the same, throughout the whole 12 rounds. And I think Usyk is able to do that. He's able to not lose his stamina
That's true.
and continue to use that movement. And I think that's gonna frustrate Anthony Joshua.
That's true. That's actually true. He's shown that he can keep up the pace and fight the same fight he has shown that. But the thing is, he showed that against cruiserweights. Because every time I think of the fights where I saw him do that, those was cruiserweights he was doing that shit to. I'm gonna take it to Virtuoso, and then I'm gonna finish off the live. Is this a more dangerous fight than the Povetkin fight was?
I think it'll be a more dangerous fight than Povetkin and Joseph Parker. Did you remember how Joseph Parker kind of frustrated Anthony Joshua with head feints and keeping him off with the jab and the clinching?
Yep.
I think Usyk has a lot of tricks in his bags, man. I said it before. I don't think this fight is gonna end like no one's gonna get knocked out. It's going on the scorecards, and I think Joshua's got it in the bag. Because I trust in Usyk's conditioning, to get him through the 12 rounds. But he's not gonna fire off the shots that he wants to fire off. But I just feel like Joshua's gonna find his way. Just not gonna be as sustainable as for a long period of time because Usyk just moves the pocket, all constantly, But Joshua to me is gonna land the more eye-catching shots.
All right then.
Let me ask you something.
Okay.
Let's say you are Anthony Joshua. You have to train for a Usyk fight. Who do you call to be your sparring partner?
Damn, that's a good question. I would call Michael.
That is why this is a difficult fight.
I would call Michael Hunter.
Tony Yoka.
Nah, not Tony. He's nothing like Usyk. He's nothing like Usyk. You need someone. You need a small target. You have to find a small target. There's got to be a height differential.
That moves a lot.
That moves a lot. Otherwise, you're not getting ready right. It's got to be a small target, preferably a southpaw, and one that can move. I'd call Michael Hunter. I'd call Sanat Gashi because Sanat Gashi, he don't throw a lot, but he moves a lot, and he's a small heavyweight.
Yeah, I think that is why it is a difficult fight because training for a guy like Usyk in the heavyweight division is difficult to find someone compared to him.
That's true.
Usyk is unique.
That's true.
In this division.
And he's a Capricorn. That's how I know that he has powers. He's a Capricorn.
And they just called me Chilango in the chat. You know what Chilango means, Julius?
¿Qué es eso?
Chilango is someone from the Mexico City, but it's a pejorative term. But I don't give a crap because they call me Chilango all the time. So.
Bueno,
madre was a chilango.
Es que ellos
mi vecino es chilango.
Mira, ellos dicen que yo soy, ellos dicen que yo soy boricua, pero no soy boricua. They call it.
Yo cubano. No, dominicano.
Yeah, I mean, shit. So, gentlemen, always a pleasure. I'm gonna take my old ass to sleep. I will be going live again tomorrow with.
I take my chilango ass to sleep too.
Chilango, and all of y'all
night,
stay
guys.
up. We got a great fight coming up. Always a pleasure.
Okay, bye guys.
¿De dónde es el otro bro mexicano? Tú, bro, el de barba. Si eres mexicano.
Sí, güey, soy de Durango.
Norteño. De allá es mi jefe, de él, papá, de Durango.
Órale.